I know a lot of people think that unboxing videos are kind of boring, and I kind of agree, but in this situation, I'm kind of excited to find out with you all what kind of wires on the back of this. It doesn't tell on the box itself what requires it to be, to hold power. I assume there's going to be 4 wires on the back of this thing, but let's see, how's it open? There we go. Let's set that aside. What's happening? Here we go. Oh wow, man, those are well made. Look at this. This metal, is it metal? Yeah, nice metal frame around it. Real positive clicking. I like that. Oh, yeah. Wow. Risk of electrical shock. So obviously if you don't feel comfortable with installing one of these yourself, hire a trained professional, right? Okay, so let me show you what we have here. This is called the carrier wire. Carrier wires are always red. That says load out for some reason. No, they have their traveler, they call their traveler wire, is this wire. It's a black wire. I always thought that carrier wires were red, but it doesn't really matter the color of the shielding as long as you get power to it. Yep, see, here's dedicated neutral, and that's what I was afraid of. Obviously, you would have to have it. It's what keeps constant power to the box when you're not using it to maintain Wi-Fi signature. So it actually has 1, and ground, of course, makes 5 wires. So ground and neutral has 2 travelers, which I find interesting. And then load out. So it looks to me like where your switch wires would be, dedicated neutral, if you don't think about this one for a second. Of course, the ground goes to the box or anywhere the ground is, pretty simple. Traveler. Of course, I'll read the manual here in a little bit, but load out. That's going to be your actual switch. So on the right side of your existing 3-way, you'll probably use one of the travelers for your switch, and then you'll actually hook the other traveler to the carrier wire that you already have existing. Okay, for this really old, dated, I'm in my little girl's room. This is a 3-way that turns actually, doesn't even work in her room. It's the way this house is built, kind of weird, but it turns on the light in my weight room. And the other switch is right there. So we're in the process of remodeling this. Please excuse the mess, but anyway, so back to this. There's only 3 wires here. And I think that is the hot wire that's being broken to the light itself, and I think that's the carrier wire. And it should be red. One of those, which way the switch works, one of them should be red. And what they've done, instead of running a dedicated carrier, they've just ran standard 12-2 without ground. It's just 12-2, hot neutral, and then they just cut one of the wires off. That's not how you're supposed to do things. There should be no bare wire right there. And it's probably not hooked to anything. No, it's most likely not. But it still shouldn't be that way. It should be 1 wire. And that's just one way to run a carrier. But that's not how you're supposed to do it. This old switch still works, but 3 wires. Let's move on to something else. Maybe I could find a neutral somewhere else. All right, so that is a bummer. I have 3 sets of 3-ways in my home, and none of them have a dedicated neutral coming into the switch box. So that's kind of a bummer. They're not even grounded either. This house is old, like I said, so a ground you can get by with installing this without a ground. It's not recommended. And a ground would be much better for the sensitive electronics of these switches. So I would just have to have ground it to the box, or, I hope that would have been enough, because the boxes in my house are metal, so that would be one workaround for that. But you have to have a neutral. It's what keeps the power to the switch and allows the Wi-Fi to remain on for the switch. So that's necessary. And running a neutral to my house, to these boxes, is just not really practical, and would require far more man hours and you know, and copper wire and all that stuff. It would just be quite expensive to figure out how to power these switches. So I'm just simply not going to be able to do it. Like I said, major bummer. But the only thing I have in my box is the traveler wires and the load. So you have to have the neutral. You can get by without the ground, but you have to have the neutral. Very important. So, you know, just keep that in mind. If you expect to buy these switches, you need to check your switch boxes first to make sure that you can do it. They have to have a dedicated neutral. And the neutral is coming from your main circuit breaker in your house. If you brought those wires to the switch box first and then broke the hot wire and just wire nutted the neutrals and then took your hot wire to your lights along with the neutral wire, then you can use this switch. Without a neutral wire though, you just can't do it. So what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to reach out to some of my friends, and pardon the shaky camera, I'm just holding this iPhone in my hand. I'm going to reach out to some of my friends and then check their boxes, and I'll just give them this light set, so this switch set, if they want it. And then hopefully I can just install it for them and install a video for you that way. So I'm going to reach out to my friends, and until then, thanks for watching.